Has quorum been met?
morning, colleagues of the 25th Resources and Development Committee, and also to our legislative services staff. Our audience that are present here in person, good morning. And then to the listeners on the call, today is our regular Resources and Development Committee meeting here at Navajo Nation Department of Transportation, Natani Boardroom. At this time at 10:30, I would like to call the meeting to order. Rodney, can we please take roll call?
Madam Chair, members of RDC, this is roll call for Resource Development Committee of the 25th Nominations Council regular meeting for Monday, November 18, 2024. Roll call, Honorable Brenda Jesus.
Present.
Honorable Brenda Jesus is present. Honorable Casey Allen Johnson.
Vice Chair Casey Allen Johnson is present.
Honorable Casey Allen Johnson is present. Honorable Shauna N. Claw. Honorable Ricky Nez.
Delegate Rick Nez is present.
Honorable Ricky Nez is present. Honorable Danny Simpson.
Here.
Honorable Danny Simpson is present. Honorable Otto Sew. Madam Chair, you have 4 members present, which constitutes the quorum for this regular meeting.
Yeah, Rodney, thank you for that. And at this time, I'd like to request from my colleagues if one of you would like to volunteer to provide an invocation here this morning for those to the Zinninigi. Thank you, call. Honorable Simpson.
Thank you, Madam Chairman, RC. Yeah, good morning, everyone. Thank you for being here. I appreciate that. Which is so good for you because you know that I have the prayers do locations in the location. Thank you for the policy for each one. Thank you for all the blessing and the story. I think for taking care of them, for the share in the people, for all nomination and job. Leadership to give guidance and wisdom for Navajo people. That will be discussed in our agenda. Thank you for our leadership from the local level through the Washington DC. Thank you to be with us as we do our meeting here and that we travel safely home. We also actually take care of our servicemen that are trying to serve for our freedom. Just be with them, be with your family. And just want to say thank you to be with them and the holidays are coming upon us. Just be with us and that we celebrate these holidays safely and just be with us. And also take care of our people that are going through that have families or facing health issues also. Just be with them and we ask you that we be with those surrounding people that are facing health issues and just care for them and heal them. And again, just be with us and again, we actually thank you for looking at all the questions. So just
Honorable Simpson for that prayer. Going forward to announcements. Do we have any announcements this morning, colleagues, or from legislative? Danya. Okay, so going forward, item number 2 on our proposed agenda, recognizing guests and visiting officials. Again, I just want to thank our colleagues here first for traveling here to our regular meeting every Monday safely and to our visitors that are here. I know that we have U.S. Department of Interior, Bureau of Land Management team that is here. Then we of course have our team from the Division of Natural Resources and also Mr. Fred White and his team from Building Nations LLC. Thank you for being here. Going forward to our guest here, Microcom Communication Solution. I believe that we have Mr. Reiser. Is that his name? Yeah. Jonathan Reiser. Excuse me if I pronounced that incorrectly. To you and your team for your presentation here this morning. And again, I'd just like to thank a lot of our individuals that are present here and also listening on the call. So with that, I'd like to go on further to item number 3, reviewing and approving the agenda. So Rodney, can you please read the proposed agenda into the record?
Madam Chair, members of RDC, the proposed agenda reads as follows. Resource Development Committee of the 25th Nominations Council's regular meeting from Monday, November 18, 2024, 10 a.m. Presiding Honorable Brenda Jesus, Chairperson. Honorable Casey Allen Johnson, Vice Chairperson. Location, Navajo Division of Transportation. 1, call meeting to order. Roll call, invocation, and announcements. 2, recognizing guests and visiting officials. 3, reviewing and approving the agenda. 4, reviewing and approving the journal, November 4th, 2024, regular meeting. 5, receiving report. A, report from the U.S. Department of the Interior Bureau of Land Management, Farmington Field Office on section 106 of the National Historic Preservation Act program alternative, as well as the future planning issues for the Farmington Field Office. B, update report from the Division of Natural Resources and Building Nation LLC on the financials and revenue from the 2024 Navajo Nation Fair. C, update report from the Division of Natural Resources and Department of Agriculture on the AIF on the Agriculture Infrastructure Fund as it relates to the request for proposal RFP on the pasture and rangeland forage insurance agency services for the Navajo Nation's Trust and Feeland area. RFP bid number 24-10 3405 JB. D, report from Microcom Solution as it relates to the capability to bring high-speed broadband on with no data limits to the entire Navajo Nation. 6, old business. 7, new business. Approving leadership with the Navajo Nation Hospitality Enterprise and their management board to discuss the deeded trust of the Goldings Monument Valley Lodge and Tor property, San Juan County, Utah, for Tuesday, December 10th, 2024 at 9 a.m. and to be held at Goldings Monument Valley Lodge. 8, close the meeting, announcements, and adjournment. Madam Chair, members have already seen that as a proposed agenda read into the record.
Okay, thank you, Rodney. Colleagues, may I get a motion?
Motion.
Chair Naz, may I get a second?
Second.
Honorable Simpson. Okay, with that, colleagues, do we have any amendments that we may be looking at on this particular agenda here before us this morning? Honorable Simpson?
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of RC, again, good morning, everyone. Madam Chair, I'd like to offer amendment number 1. I'd like to take 2 items off the agenda. The first item will be receiving report A. I know we do have BLM here, and as I spoke with them this morning in reference to their proposed presentation to REC. I did speak with them. There's going to be a major decision made by Navajo Nation how BLM will pursue this, and a lot of input will come from Navajo Nation, and this will be pertaining to Eastern Agency. And again, I did speak with them this morning. It would be appropriate to have a presentation given to the Navajo Eastern Land Commission first. Then the Eastern Land Commission will come with a recommendation and present this to RC along with BLM. So we are working on a meeting. We're scheduling a meeting with BLM right now to go present to Eastern Land Commission. Once that's done, we'll have a recommendation and present this to REC as a commission and as BLM. So that's why I like to offer them to take item A off and receiving report. The second item will be item C. We're proposing a leadership meeting on this issue here. I'm not sure when's going to happen. I think before we hear an update on this, I think that appropriate entities will have to be updated as a whole. So that's why I know there's a meeting scheduled to maybe a leadership meeting or some type of special leadership meeting that's being proposed right now. So that's why I'd like to have that item C on report taken off too. So those two reports will be on that number 1 be removed from the agenda. Thank you, Madam Chair. We've already seen.
Yeah, thank you, Honorable Simpson. So colleagues, we do have amendment number 1, motioned by Honorable Simpson to remove under number 5, receiving a report item letter A, the report from Bureau of Land Management to have the interior of Bureau of Land Management to go before Eastern Navajo Land Commission first, since this particular discussion impacts the 31 communities in Eastern Navajo, and with the recommendations to come back with commission and BLM before Resources and Development Committee. Also, we're taking off item letter C, and again, this is a report from DNR Department of Ag. We would like to have a leadership meeting in regards to this particular issue. So again, I will consider that, Honorable Simpson. So at this time, colleagues, I'd like to request for a second. Chair Ness?
If I may, Madam Speaker, I'd like to second the motion as well as add a few words to this.
Sure.
Perhaps I request a modification to this motion
Okay.
for amendment one.
Mhm.
I'd like to ask, my brother here, Delegate Simpson, if we could go to new business first
Okay,
and also add the leadership meeting on the AIF onto the agenda as new business B and have it on Wednesday. And we can discuss that once we put it on there. Thank you.
Hakushi. Thank you, Chair Ness. So with that, Honorable Simpson, we do have a modification to amendment number one is to, take item number 7, new business, and put it before receiving reports and also adding, letter B under new business in regards to that leadership meeting regarding the AIF. Do you concur, Honorable Simpson?
Thank you, Madam Chairman, RC. I do concur with my brother's request. Thank you.
Okay, so with that, we have an amendment number 1 made to the proposed agenda here before us, colleagues. So with that, we have a motion by Honorable Simpson, a second by Chair Nez. Do we have any questions on the, in regards to amendment number 1, colleagues? Going once, going twice. With that, Rodney, can we take roll call vote on amendment number 1?
Madam Chair, members of RDC, this is roll call vote for amendment number 1 on removing items 5A and 5C from the agenda and moving new business item number 7 first and adding a leadership meeting to the agenda on the discussion of 5C for Wednesday, November 20th, with a time to be determined with a location. Honorable Shannon Claw, how do you vote? Honorable Casey Johnson, how do you vote?
Vice Chair Casey Johnson votes green.
Honorable Casey Johnson votes green. Honorable Ricky Nez, how do you vote?
Delegate Rick Nez votes green.
Honorable Ricky Nez votes green. Honorable Danny Simpson, how do you vote?
Agree.
Honorable Danny Simpson votes green. Honorable Otto, how do you vote? Madam Chair, that's 3 in favor, 0 opposed, and Madam Chair not voting.
Okay, so with that, motion carries for amendment number 1, colleagues. Going back on to the main motion, accepting the agenda, do we have any additional comments or additions or deletions, colleagues? Going once, going twice, Rodney, roll call vote, please.
Madam Chair, members of RDC, this is roll call vote for reviewing and approving the agenda. Honorable Shannon Claw, how do you vote? Honorable Casey Johnson, how do you vote?
Vice Chair Casey Johnson votes green.
Honorable Casey Johnson votes green. Honorable Ricky Nez, how do you vote?
Delegate Rick Nez votes green.
Honorable Ricky Nez votes green. Honorable Danny Simpson, how do you vote?
Great.
Honorable Danny Simpson votes green. Honorable Otto, how do you vote? Madam Chair, that's 3 in favor, 0 opposed, and Madam Chair not voting.
Okay, so we have an approved agenda for Monday, November the 18th, 2024, Resources and Development Committee meeting, colleagues. So going on to item number 4, reviewing and approving the journals. The journal for the November 4th, 2024 regular RDC meeting was emailed out by our legislative staff. So at this time, I'd like to get a motion.
Motion.
Chair Nez, may I get a second? Honorable Simpson. Colleagues, do we have any questions on the journal for November 4th RDC meeting? Going once, going twice. With that, Rodney, can we take roll call vote, please?
Madam Chair, members of RDC, this is roll call vote for you reviewing and approving the journal for November 4th, 2024. Honorable Shannon Claw, how do you vote? Honorable Casey Johnson, how do you vote?
Vice Chair Casey Johnson votes green.
Honorable Casey Johnson votes green. Honorable Ricky Nez, how do you vote?
Delegate Rick Nez votes green.
Honorable Ricky Nez votes green. Honorable Danny Simpson, how do you vote?
Green.
Honorable Danny Simpson votes green. Honorable Otto, how do you vote? Madam Chair, that's 3 in favor, 0 opposed, and Madam Chair not voting.
Okay, so with that, we go on to item number 5, new business. Letter A, approving a leadership meeting with Navajo Nation Hospitality Enterprise and their management board to discuss the fee to trust of the Goldings Monument Valley Lodge and Tours property, San Juan County, Utah, for Tuesday, December the 10th, 2024 at 9 a.m. to be held at Goldings Monument Valley Lodge. So with this, colleagues, we all know that council had approved this purchase last year, and at this time, in regards to one of our enterprise that is the managing company of the Goldings Lodge, I'd like to go ahead and discuss more in depth with them from the simple fee to trust land concern. So at this time, I'd like to request for a motion. Motion, Honorable Simpson. May I get a second? Vice Chair Johnson, thank you. So with that, colleagues, we do, and I believe that, Division of Economic Development is gonna be at the table too? Okay. So again, it's gonna be slated for Tuesday, December the 10th, colleagues. So it's time. Do we have any questions? Going once, going twice, Rodney, roll call vote, please.
Madam Chair, members of RDC, this is roll call vote for approving a leadership meeting with Navigation Hospitality Enterprise and the Management Board. Honorable Sean Cloud, how do you vote? Honorable Casey Allen Johnson, how do you vote?
Vice Chair Casey Allen Johnson will screen.
Honorable Casey Allen Johnson votes green. Honorable Ricky Nez, how do you vote?
Delegate Rick Nez, votes green.
Honorable Ricky Nez votes green. Honorable Danny Simpson, how do you vote?
Agreed.
Honorable Danny Simpson votes green. Honorable Otto, how do you vote? Madam Chair, that's 3 in favor, 0 opposed, and Madam Chair not voting.
Okay. So with that, motion carries. Going on to item letter B, which was added recently, and this is in regards to a leadership meeting to be scheduled this coming Wednesday, November the 20th. And the time will be to be determined, also the location to be determined. And again, this would be a leadership meeting with Division of Natural Resources and Department of Agriculture regarding the Agriculture Infrastructure Fund. And we will also allow opportunity for any colleagues of the 25th Navajo Nation Council to be a part of this leadership meeting as well. So, and that would have to require executive session. So at this time, colleagues, if I can get a motion for this leadership meeting.
Motion.
Chair Ness, may I get a second?
Second.
Honorable Simpson. So colleagues, do we have any questions on this leadership meeting here in regards to the AIF with DNR and Department of Ag? And also members of the 25th Navigation Council? And Gorshino going once, going twice with that. Rodney, can we please take roll call vote?
Madam Chair, members of RDC, this is roll call for approving a leadership meeting and executive session with DNR and the Department of Agriculture and the 25th Navigation Council. Honorable Shauna Enclaw, how do you vote? Honorable Casey Allen Johnson, how do you vote?
Vice Chair Casey Allen Johnson will screen.
Honorable Casey Allen Johnson votes green. Honorable Ricky Nez, how do you vote?
Delegate Rick Nez, votes green.
Honorable Ricky Nez votes green. Honorable Danny Simpson, how do you vote?
Agreed.
Honorable Danny Simpson votes green. Honorable Otto, how do you vote? Madam Chair, that's 3 in favor, 0 opposed, and Madam Chair not voting.
So with that, motion carries. So colleagues, we will be notifying you via email in regards to the venue and the time of this particular leadership meeting. So again, thank you for making that an addition to the agenda. So going back to item number 6, old business, we have none. And then going to item number 7, receiving reports. Letter A is a report, update report from Division of Natural Resources. Do we have the team from Division of Natural Resources here? Division of Natural Resources. Huh? We do have Building Nations here, LLC. I do see Mr. and Mrs. White here on the financials and revenues for the 2024 Navajo Nation Fair. We did have request Mr. Mike Colonna, Division Director for Division of Natural Resources, and also Mr. Fred White, who's the owner and proprietor for Building Nations LLC. Colleagues, we do not have Mr. Colonna here present with the team alongside Building Nations. What would you recommend to hear the report, Chair Ness?
Thank you, Madam Chair, committee members. Perhaps we could move on to D, as we have staff that could contact Mr. Halona as well as Ms. Jim to be present before the committee. Thank you.
Okay, I appreciate that recommendation, Chair Ness. So Rodney, if we can reach out to Mr. Halona and also Ms. Jim for their presence here to get a report in regards to letter or item letter A. Now going on to item letter B, report from Microcom Communication Solution as it relates to the capability to bring high-speed broadband with no data limits to the entire Navajo Nation. We do have a Director of Hospitality and Commercial Sales, Mr. Jonathan Breiser, and Alexander Schumann, okay, I do apologize, General Manager of the Technical Development Officer for Microcom Communication Solutions. So at this time, gentlemen, if you could please make your way to the front here. And I don't know, do you have a PowerPoint presentation?
Yes.
Okay. So the PowerPoint presentation, colleagues, I understand was emailed out. And I don't know,
Updated presentation.
oh, they have an updated presentation, so we probably have to give them time to set up here. So, gentlemen, we usually allow a 20 minutes presentation. So, yeah, so once we set you up, we'll go ahead and start the clock then. All right. Let's see.
Mhm. Because.
Okay, you ready? Okay, so we'll go ahead and allow you 20 minutes starting at 10:52 a.m. So you can go ahead and start your presentation. So just state your name for the record.
Yate, She, Jonathan Beiser, Yenishe, Nakai Dene, Nishne, Telegana, so. Thank you for having us.
And I'm Alexander Schumann with Microcom, General Manager and Technical Development Officer. I am longtime Alaskan. I was born in Alaska and helped run our 40-year-old family business.
Yes, thank you for having us. Wonderful to be here. I think we can start. We kind of ended up in front of you. I was trying to find a way to volunteer and it just progressed to now I'm in front of you fine folks. But my grandfather was one of the original code talkers, so it's really feels neat that I'm actually here.
So Microcom is a 40-year-old company. We celebrated our 40th anniversary this summer. It was founded by my parents in Anchorage, Alaska. Our operating territories are Alaska, Arizona, and Hawaii. We work with all of the major telecom providers, specifically satellite providers globally. Starlink, DirecTV, Dish, Viasat, Hughes, EchoStar, OneWeb. And with our experience, we recently, well, not so recent anymore, about 2 years ago, became the first Starlink retailer in North America. So we have a great relationship with Starlink. Starlink is a great broadband solution that we've deployed tens of thousands of units in rural Alaska and rural Hawaii. It's been a very successful product for us that has brought broadband to many tribal areas and indigenous communities in Alaska and Hawaii. And with Jonathan being on our staff and recommending that we tried to do something in this area and try to replicate our success and bring broadband through our full service capabilities to the Navajo Nation. To further explain some of our competencies, recently in April of 2023, We actually launched our own satellite, Aurora 4A. It was launched into geostationary orbit. It serves all of Alaska through geostationary satellite broadband. And in 2019, we built a teleport in Talkeetna, Alaska. There's 30 3.5 meter gateway antennas there. We've built out many tribal spectrum systems utilizing tribal 2.5 gigahertz frequencies, as well as 5 gigahertz on towers and even fiber to the home more recently. With that, I'll turn it over to Jonathan to explain some of our federal, state, and hospitality business.
So for the most part, I kind of oversee the federal and state hospitality and NDU. So we have right of entries on all the military bases in Alaska and Schofield Military Base in Hawaii. So that's everything from commercial television and internet. We do coexist with some other providers, but really strong in the medical communities there in Alaska as well. So we probably do about 90% of the tribal entities like Yukon, Kuskokwim, IHS that's there, Native Tribal Health Corp, just to kind of name a few. This umbrella also includes school districts and tribal libraries, pretty much everything commercial on that side. Another facet of our business is we have about 80% of all hospitality in Alaska and probably about 15 in Hawaii. And that's with our preferred vendors. We are a preferred vendor for Marriott, Hilton, and Hyatt, Choice, Best Western. And that's for all of their internet, entertainment, and OTT products like the Bonvoy apps and things like that. AO, so senior living, condo communities and apartment communities fall under that MDU umbrella. Had a lot of success with the senior living side as well.
With that, I think we wanted to go over a lot of what we are capable of, but we're here specifically to talk about Starlink because we feel it's the best solution to bring broadband quickly to every community in the Navajo Nation. Starlink is high-speed internet, no matter how remote. So anywhere that you can see the sky, you can have broadband as long as you have power. Up to 350 megabits per second, depending on the user terminal, and very low latency. All of the Starlink subscription plans we provide include priority, high-speed data, and the terminals are really weather resilient. We've deployed, like I said, tens of thousands in Alaska, have had no weather-related issues. Alaska is challenging geographically. It's cold. In Hawaii, it's very warm. And we've had no problems. They're designed to endure the elements, and we think they would perform very well here. With that, we have done some testing over about 2 months ago now that I'll let maybe Jonathan touch on here.
Yeah, when we got on board, I knew Shania Manis. I went to high school with her, and she was talking about a lot of the things that you have going on with internet now. And it was quite honestly, it was pretty frustrating to see that the Navajo Nation has such a long, a long timeline of getting connected. And the Navajo Nation, our nation should be connected now. There's no reason that you're waiting so long to be connected. I would have led with Starlink as the solution, as a concurrent solution, along with your tower, your fiber build outs and things like that. The financial side is low in comparison, and literally we could have the entire nation connected within a matter of months. Being with our level of partnership, we actually stock and inventory the amount of units that it would take. There's no other partner that does that with Starlink. Interestingly enough, we gave a presentation to the Native Broadband group. Soon after that, there was a demo agenda that was kind of put up to check it out at a chapter. So that was right after we let them know that Starlink should have come first. So I found that very interesting, but better late than never, but with the status that we're at and the capabilities we have, and we have close to, 100 technicians employed, this stuff is easy for us. But there's no reason that the Navajo Nation should not be connected at this moment now.
Yeah, so we were here about 2 months ago and we went across the nation from Window Rock to Sawmill to Chinle and Fort Defiance, all the way up to Page, throughout the reservation, and we tested it. So I think what Jonathan was trying to say is the testing's been done. We know this solution works, and we have a quick video that I hope will play that kind of shows our exploration here a couple of months ago.
I think one fun takeaway from that is, as far as demoing, you've been demoing on the president's vehicle. So he has a high powered unit on top of his vehicle. So he's mobile, he can do Wi-Fi calls, he's connected wherever he is on the nation as long as he's in his vehicle. So at the chapter house Sawmill, I think we tested them at about 5 megs down. We hooked up the smallest unit, which is, it has the least amount of speed, and they were clocked at over 100 megs. So we took them from barely having email capabilities, having some issues with attachments and things like that, to where, the president was checking out his TikTok while we were there. So, I mean, Wi-Fi calling, all that good stuff, and that's instant. So, like I said, I mean, it's an easy solution.
Yeah, thanks, Jonathan. So Microcom is a Starlink strategic partner, and I think this slide shows all of the benefits that would come from deploying Starlink through Microcom. So we offer installation services. We want every user to receive a quality professional installation. This is going to minimize downtime. It's going to minimize troubleshooting. It's going to minimize issues, and it's going to allow the equipment to perform optimally. We also have a network operations center, so we monitor all sites in real time. Anytime a site goes down, we're going to know typically before the user does, and we'll be able to start troubleshooting immediately with our team of technical experts. And we also offer managed services. So if there was any interest in us managing Wi-Fi networks, access points, routers, things to help kind of extend the networks throughout where the Starlinks are deployed, we're able to do that as well. Billing and back office, we'll be able to offer one bill instead of when you sign up with Starlink directly, you can only attach about usually five terminals to one account. So by working through a provider like us, you can attach all the terminals to one account, and we'll just provide you with one bill.
Yeah, I think one of the challenges we had with other tribal nations was, they were trying to grab some of the grant monies from the federal government. So Starlink out of the gate was not getting any traction because you couldn't submit a report and show them, we're going to buy this many units. the government had no idea where they were gonna be, if they were gonna get deployed, if the money was going to the right places and things like that. Another huge major hurdle was, and even now, a Starlink unit needs a credit card for activation. And then you're limited to, anywhere, I think it's between 5 and 10 per credit card or per account that you create with that credit card. So that was one of the things when we had the sit down meetings with Starlink, was to create programs that worked for a solution for the scenarios that we're in now. So we got rid of the whole credit card side of it. That is gone. We handle all the billing for our customers. So you would get one bill, as little as one bill if you want, and then that can be kind of in a hierarchy type format. So you could have that by department, you could have that geographically, you can have it set up however you want, and it would be like a typical business commercial account with net terms, as opposed to these more residential type solutions.
Yeah, and with that would come portal access, so you would be able to log in and see all of the terminals on your account, where they're at, how they're performing, if they're online, if they're offline. Custom activation, so you can activate them when you want, deactivate them when you want. And that ties in with our network operations who are managing all of that and can help delineate out access as required. Certain users may only need access to a few terminals, and we can specify that. So we'll talk a little bit more about the portal here in a second. But we really feel this is a strategic partnership with Microcom. We're the satellite expert. We've been the satellite expert for 40 years. We provide quality broadband to rural and tribal areas today across Alaska and Hawaii. Some of our first customers were indigenous populations in Alaska over 40 years ago, and where we provided complete TV cable networks to tribes in Alaska. All of our customers get priority data, and then we have inventory in stock. If it would take, we could have inventory here on Wednesday. I could do an installation for the Sawmill chapter, and they would have over 100 megabits per second on Wednesday. Like we can make it happen quickly, and I think that's one of the benefits about working with us.
Yeah, I think at the 300-foot view, talking as we were kind of going through the nation, I think Wi-Fi calling is a major solution. Dead zones in a vehicle with the mobile units, especially for first responders, that's easy. Certifications and support, that's going to be a long-term goal that I'll kind of hit on at the very end. We've got obviously warranty on all the hardware. The billing, I kind of went over that already. Power, I think power could be one of those challenges to overcome in some of the more rural areas. And that kind of correlates with the elders that we have to take care of. So with power and elders, there's so many things, as far as our technicians, and then actually training Navajo would be, appointed technicians, if you will. For long term, it is where I see this being for our people. I see Microcom is helping us get there, and then being able to take that knowledge and create our own entity that I'll kind of get into would be key. But power, there's so many things, we went out with a little cell, like a charging station that works to get these things up and going. I know my grandma in Luke, she had a windmill. I don't know, but that's one I have no idea if that would work or not, but that solar and everything else, easily kind of get over those hurdles.
So this is what our portal looks like now in our current network deployment. We have sites all over Alaska. Some of those green dots, as you zoom in, there'd become more like 20 or 30 in a certain community. But this is, for multiple customers, or for one customer, they might have 20 or 30 accounts. This is what it looks like today. This is what, when you dial into one of those accounts, you're going to be able to see your usage this month. You're going to be able to see past usage. You'll see where your terminal's at. And then down below, as you scroll down, you would see uplink throughput, downlink throughput latency. You can do reports, you can download reports, and you could go to another tab and see your Wi-Fi router. This is, and I'm sorry that this slide doesn't really come out, but this is this is showing kind of where we're at today in our deployment here in this area where we've deployed a couple of the terminals that you can see there, 4 of them. This is where we're hoping we can go tomorrow, go across the Navajo Nation and implement them all at chapter houses, where we think we can implement them all at Head Start locations. We can put mobile units on all the government vehicles, and then eventually full implementation at every residential home across the nation, and completely connect from corner to corner everyone here on the Navajo Nation. And then here's a little segment by agency, so you can see that separated out.
Yeah, it's a nice visual, because I mean, if you start thinking about the billing and management of the units that are deployed, it's fairly easy to kind of put that in an environment that you need it in.
Yeah. So why did Starlink choose Microcom here to finish up? We're an equipment and internet service provider, primarily satellite. We're an equipment retailer, so we sell Starlink equipment, and we're an enterprise service reseller, so we can resell Starlink service since we are a premier partner with them. We have inventory in stock. We have tribal nation experience, over 40 years of serving tribes and indigenous populations. And we have certified technicians, like Jonathan said, as well as a 24/7 network operations center.
So as you know, especially with COVID, I think that's where it kind of hit home for me, is we're already getting slammed with what happened with COVID. We're getting hit hard as far as having the younger generations connected just to keep up with the outside world is really what it is. And we're doing a horrible job of that. That's not really a fault. It's more of I think that perhaps there's a little bit of the direction of where we're going. This should have been deployed first. We would already have all of those green dots taken care of. And when you utilize programs and things like that, we're also talking about the monthly bill, like being able to have that in a managed format or built in, so it's a long-term solution, and it's not something that an elder that can't afford the service. This solution's already taken care of that. This for me, this was, I just kind of put this together, so it's as professional as you're gonna get from a guy like me, but I'm not really a social media kind of, but anyways, ResNet, I was like, what if you had a company and it was called ResNet? It's the Navajo Nation, Dene Communications, it's your own communications company that's managed by the Navajo people. It's not for Microcom to come in, and then Microcom is just got, they're able to stay here throughout eternity, like an AT&T or Verizon or another retailer might do. But thinking long term, we come out, we have technicians, utilizing the technicians that we send, they're getting all of that experience for installations that they can take out without Microcom and duplicate that all over the rest. I think it would be amazing if part of the solution were to take those delegated would-be technicians and send them to Alaska for a month or a couple weeks, because there's no other harsher environment that I've seen than Alaska. I mean, they've got guys where there's polar bears walking around. So if they learn how to do all of that type of installation, communication installations, television installations, fiber, all that good stuff, bring back that with some of the certifications. ResNet is not just this slide, it's an actual storefront that you could use, bring in mobility to that, and you've got a revenue source, which creates a long-term entity, and it's your own.
Thank you for having us today. We really appreciate the time, and we think we have a great broadband solution and opportunity that we can help connect individuals here, and happy to answer any questions.
All right, thank you, gentlemen, for your presentation. At this time, colleagues, I would like to request for a motion to accept the report. Chair Ness, may I get a second?
Second.
Honorable Simpson. Colleagues, do we have any questions for Microcom Communication Solution in regards to the presentation that was presented here before the committee? Honorable Simpson?
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of RC, thanks, presenters, appreciate that. I think, it seems like we always.
Oh, can you turn on the mic? Wow.
Again, thank you, Madam Chair, members of RC, presenters, thank you. Yes, we're here. We always concentrate on government facilities to get these type of services. And we always talk about Head Start, we always talk about Chapter House. But my priority to have this type of system that's starting out with people at their homes, that should be a priority now. I mean, that's the way I look at it. Because 20 years, we always concentrate on chapter houses, we always Head Starts, government facilities. But we all, people need this type of service to their home. We wait till last minute, and it still happens today. So I like what you guys are presenting, but as leaders, as a leader for our Navajo people, you know, I like to make give these to our Navajo people as a priority. And hopefully we can make that happen. You know, let's get checked out on the internet. Head Start. I understand that. But still, you know, our kids still need these services at their homes. And again, I wish this was done. Was presented back in 5 years ago when the pandemic started. This is what we needed. I mean, that's what we needed back then. But we can still start. And we still have homes that they don't have either services. And hopefully this will be, I had a couple of friends that utilize the system here. It's great. It works really good. So I would just urge my colleagues here to continue to have this talk and continue to make it a priority to get these service to our Navajo homes. Not chapter houses, not Head Start. I mean, they have been with these they had these services back 25 years ago. But you kind of switch off to the mix what's available with technology. But we still tend to forget our Navajo people that they need these services at their home. That's what we need to do. We've got to push for them. So hopefully, again, I would urge my colleagues that we continue to talk and get to see them. I represent 8 chapters, and I know a good number of our 4 or 5 chapters I represent. There's a good number of homes that don't have these services. And we go to chapter house, we got the service, and the kids have to sit outside. And that's not right. They should have these services at their home. You know, sit out there only for like maybe 30 minutes, especially winter time. You got your car running, you know, try to stay warm, but you're trying to do something outside in the parking lot and then have an hour. So again, I'm going to really support getting these this type of service to our Navajo homes. And again, it does mean a lot. Just like you stay anywhere.
Yeah, I think, you know, such a good point, Delegate Noto, and I think, you know, I got fired up when I saw the plan that you were going through now, and I honestly would have led with the slide on the residential side and the elder side, except when nobody could give me, you can't really pull a location map for the Navajo Nation when it comes to residential, so, you know, it's easy to pull chapter houses and Head Starts and things like that, but I would have led residential with that, because that's the ultimate goal is communication. And I heard that there was a bus that you know was set up by T-Mobile, and it would pull out to a site, and then that was the solution. It's just, it baffles me, and I feel honestly it kind of hit me hard, because I know what the solution is, but I was a little bit disconnected from my people when I you know went off to college and just started I went belly Ghana on you for a little while, but I'm back, baby. Don't get sense.
So,
So, I thought I'd share, my hair is short here. I appreciate your presentation. I'm sorry, Madam Chair.
No,
Give
it's
me a
okay.
couple more minutes.
it's okay, yeah, go
Thank
ahead.
you, Madam Chairman Garcia. I appreciate your presentation. Again, Madam Chairman, we really gotta push this. I mean, I just come so
Yeah,
vocal on giving type of service to our Navajo homes. And again, it's just all within the chapter house, these or the head start and building facilities. I think it needs to be a big priority for REC. Maybe start working with like certain communities in Arizona, certain communities in Utah,
mhm,
and New Mexico. Especially the rural areas. Especially the rural areas that we will maybe start working. Again, it will be up to the executive branch and I think it's for oversight. The certain entity with now in the field broadband and all that stuff. I think we need to just show people that it does work. But I want to go to the most rural areas within Navajo Nation and get these services to our Navajo homes. And that will be a start to where we're accomplishing something and it can kind of spread out. So I know this is new to a lot of our people and we have to educate them. But it shows that I think that would be a priority for our Navajo people. Again, this should have been done when this pandemic hit, this COVID hit. That should have been done, should have been, because every one of our kids were at home. And some were very fortunate to have internet service at their home. But a good number were in a chapter house outside city. In the cold, in the heat, trying to get internet services and again, very slow services too, those on the hotspot, they were very slow. So I would really urge my colleagues here that we make it a priority, be how this scheme, that this is will be very beneficial for Navajo people, but that's my request on Madam Chair. Thank you. I remember I see that.
yeah, thank you, Honorable Simpson, for that recommendation and input. And I'd like to go ahead and yield the time over to Vice Chair Johnson.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and good morning, everybody out there, Bennett.
Good morning.
One more time. Yeah, hey, Bennett. I think we got some coffee back there. Help yourself. So just like I say, good morning. It's good to see each and every one of you here today and those that are on the call. I'd like to raise your hand if you want faster internet. So there was a section up on the presentation that said Wi-Fi calling. When you go out there in the rural area, a lot of our phones don't work. You know, the signal goes out in some areas. If you have this this mini or at your house and you don't have a signal on your phone, you can use the Wi-Fi calling on that. So when I was sitting there, I was thinking that a lot of us when you have appointments and they're going toward more telemedicine, talking to your doctor on the call or video call. I know that this would be very beneficial in that sense. Instead of driving all the way to your hospital, you could speak to your doctor and have your checkup online and save gas. I have a question. That map that you showed it all green, like if for it to be built out all green all over Navajo Nation. From today, how soon could you turn that map green? How soon? What's the timeline? If we say, let's go do it.
Yeah.
Right now.
I can speak to that. If we said, let's go do it right now, we would immediately deliver several hundred or several thousand units to a facility here in Window Rock or nearby, and we would send over several technicians, and we could probably do about 500 installations a month. So to get to all the homes homes, we'd need to map it out. And like Jonathan said, it would probably take a few months to get the initial deployment done, but to get to every home, maybe a year and a half.
Well, picture this as
yeah.
well. So if we had a group of technicians and then they kind of spread out and go, and they bring somebody that we want to have learned this with them, then that time frame is gonna dramatically start dropping with the people that we want to educate to do it ourselves.
Yeah,
Yeah, if we train local technicians that help us,
yeah.
it could go as fast as we want it to go.
So that's a really, the timeline, that's great. Because we're looking at a fiber built out, putting fiber in the ground or the, power line and running it and hiring a contractor, to do all that. That's gonna take several years. That's gonna take a while, and just like my brother said that, that there's a lot of families out there in the rural areas, that could really benefit from this system. So, again, as time, continues to move forward, the inflation, is gonna continue to go up, and the cost of material and everything like that. So, we do have a potential broadband fiber that we're looking at a fiber built out. So maybe that's something that, we can look at considering, to include this, project. I really like what you said up in Alaska, and I've been saying this for years. Navajo Nation needs its own satellite. We need our own satellite. We need our own channels. We need our own, so when you mentioned spectrum, we have licenses 2.5. I think we have 3 at the moment. So, this is something that's going to take a further discussion, and that we do need to meet with our broadband office and our telecommunication and all the stakeholders that are involved. So again, anything above 100 megs, that's great. So I want to thank you guys for your presentation, and I'll hand the floor back over to Chair Seuss.
Yeah, thank you, Vice Chair Johnson. Do I have any other colleagues with any questions or comments at this time in regards to the presentation? I think the recommendation here that came from 2 of my colleagues is to schedule a meeting with the broadband office with the Navajo Nation under the executive branch. I know that we have Mr. Byron Shorty and also Sonia Ness. I know that they had brought before Resources and Development Committee a couple of weeks ago in regards to their plan with the current funding that was allocated through the ARPA dollars. So our colleagues of the overall 25th Navajo Nation Council have been very much interested in how those funds are going to be expended, and also looking at the timeline. Now, as you all know, Navajo Nation, the terrain is, diverse. So it costs us more per mile to run a fiber optic line, especially if there's rock formations and, all this terrain area in regards to just a flat land. The cost of that per mile is way cheaper. So with that, how do we maximize and trying to get to the internet connectivity, not just in the public, buildings that you've mentioned, but, with Honorable Simpson had mentioned that we want to be able to get this into the households of our constituents across Navajo Nation, because they're the ones that are there trying to log on to do their research for their homework, whether they're middle school, even grade school, and then we've got high school, and then we've got college people that are continuing their education, being full-time online. So even with work as well. So, and I really think this is a really great concept, and it would have been great if you came to Navajo Nation maybe 3 years ago. We could have been already boots on the ground trying to install a lot of these satellites with our homes, so. I like the concept, and this is a discussion that we would need to have with our executive branch partners. And see if we could come up with a plan and possibly utilizing some of those dollars for deployments to get some of these satellites going out to residential homes and slowly finding out which Head Start facility, chapter house, Oak Springs chapter down the road towards I-40, dead zone there. They don't have internet. They do have NTUA, but they turn it off on weekends, but now I think NTUA took their internet package back. So right now we're trying to look something that is more viable for usage. So again, I'd like to be talking to you about that, to see if we can sit down with the chapter of both communities that I represent and see if we can get something going and start getting customers, and I'd like to also sign up. So, colleagues, do we, anyone else have any questions? Oh, okay, the telecommunication, the commission. I know that they've been working on a plan. I know that they're also having meetings every month, to try to strategize on, this, what we call telecommunication gap that we have here on Navajo Nation now. So we also need them to be there at the table to discuss this and see how we can all come together and try to bridge that gap to where we can get these satellites going throughout to Navajo Nation. But again, this would be a presentation you would need to share with them, and I do appreciate that. Vice Chair?
Yes, I just recall you were talking about the emergencies, like, the ambulance or the,
Yeah.
the fire department or the police or, anything like that, the first responders like to have that on their unit, so. And I seen that President Agron has one on his vehicle. Just imagine if we could have that, on every police vehicle, every, emergency vehicle, that, they will have, internet and, be able to make calls and use, their equipment, within their emergency vehicles. And that's very valuable, especially the rural area out here and the dead zones and everything like that, I did get a question yesterday by an individual saying that they have the product. It's not your product, but I think they bought it at Best Buy or another retail store, and they're unable to get to customer service. And and I was saying that you have support line. So if I call and say, hey, my mini is slacking, so how what's the my understanding that the app, you guys, everybody will have the app to that Starlink, and they could do their own troubleshooting with it, realign the mini. But if that doesn't work out, I call you, and do I get somebody from India on the call, or do I talk to you, or I want you to explain that.
Honestly, is that a real scenario or is this me? So we, that was one of the things, when we're asking Starlink for something, they're telling us, here's what we need you to do. And one of the things that Starlink doesn't have is a support backbone. So that was a requirement that we have. And so, Alexander, we have support centers already. We had to make one just for Starlink.
Yeah, so we have a network operations center with network technicians on staff, as well as a customer service department. So depending on what the issue is, one of those two departments will take the call. They can handle billing inquiries, they can handle access inquiries. But if the unit is offline, the network operations center, they're going to look into it immediately. They're going to help troubleshoot over the phone, via email, via ticket system. Multiple ways to contact us quickly, and you do talk to everyone is based in the building I work in Alaska, and then we do have another call center in Eagle Mountain, Utah, who handle overflow calls. So everybody is in the United States, and most people work right next to me in our building in Anchorage. So we're all similar time zones and operate 24/7. So we can help troubleshoot. You can call us, email us, submit a ticket, and everyone has visibility into all the different systems. So we can help very quickly troubleshoot issues. And then if there was an actual hardware issue, they would either determine that over the phone and send you a new unit, or we would dispatch a local technician, someone in the area to come help. Maybe a cable got cut or something happened with the unit, and we need to help fix the installation.
Well, and obviously deploying a technician, that's where we get into the vision of ResNet. You know, one thing you have to think about is that the money's not going to be there forever. It's going to be gone sooner than you think, and then we're back supporting ourselves. So that is a vision that is something that I would push in a big way, followed up with, you know, just what Delegate Simpson was saying, you know, to take care of the people. And that's something you have to think about, so that we can take care of all of that support. But the cool thing is that we can give that system, that support system, username and logins. So you have access, so you can see the health of an individual unit. You can see if it's unplugged. You can see if there's something wrong with the power source that's coming in. So that's something long-term that we give to you, so that we can take care of ourselves as well. And obviously we do have technicians.
Okay, Vice Chair?
Yes, you mentioned the technicians. Like, it would be really great to have Navajo, you know, Starlink technicians, you know, that could actually, you know, if that goes off. I seen the map, you know, of Alaska. Every green light, that next page showed the actual, you know, that unit there. So if that can't be fixed, then you have to send somebody out there, you know, to troubleshoot it in person. So I really think that, you know, that would be really good for the community, you know, and, you know, moving forward to the future, that we have our own technicians and building that team, that capacity on Navajo. And so, you know, if there's something wrong with the unit, it'll just be replaced, or, you know, the power. And then the upgrade, you know, everything we do upgrades, you can do an upgrade on your app, on the unit, but you know, the actual unit, because I know things change over time, units get smaller, or there's something changes, like, you know, now there's a modem inside the mini Starlink. And so if, let's say, this old school mini, you know, is obsolete, so, you know, the upgrade to it, so there's that going to be something that is going to be included in this package?
I think so. So we would probably do a staggered approach, right? We're only going to purchase enough equipment for what's going to be installed in the near term. So as new technologies developed and new products are released, the nation would take advantage of those as they become available. We wouldn't buy thousands and thousands of units now, and then that's the only unit you get. It would be a staggered approach. So you would always be getting the newest unit available. And then in the future, if somebody wanted an upgrade, yeah, we would develop an upgrade program and replace the unit. So far we've seen, at least in Alaska, the previous version is still working very well. And so there's minimal incentive to actually need to upgrade. And so the product life cycle is, you know, many years. It's not just, you don't need a new one as soon as the new one comes out.
No, and then another thing to think about too is when you install the Starlink unit, your infrastructure is now in place. If you think of a huge picture, like one of the Princess cruise ships that we have. If the antenna goes down, we ship out a new antenna because the whole infrastructure is already in place. So you just swap it out.
Mhm.
If you're home, and I know you're familiar with the mini, but I don't think you're as familiar with the standard, which has the router modem that's cabled inside.
Mhm.
So you would have a hard mount of the antenna, you'd have it wired inside, so if it was a router, we could swap out the router. That's all shipping support. So that's the cool thing is, once the initial installation's done, support, ongoing support, interchangeable with the future of products. Your infrastructure's there, so it becomes as simple as mailing them to the PO box, or the easiest way to get them that equipment.
Sure.
So like now that we're having weather, winter conditions, the sky is, we can't see the sky. So how much megs will I lose out of 200, if it's reading about 200, how many megs will I lose? Because let's say Cameron has a dust storm and windstorm, as bad as Sahara Desert, what am I gonna lose megs on that or?
So, yeah, atmospheric weather events do impact performance. That being said, I think it's a bit of an outdated concept as far as satellite technology goes. It is a physics equation, right? The antenna needs to communicate to a satellite in space. So if there's obstructions between those two, whether it's rain, snow, dust, or a tree, it's going to impact performance. But what we have seen is very limited impact. So snow, it has a built-in heater, and we see snow doesn't really impact performance. Even on heavy snowfall days, when there's a lot of snow in the atmosphere. Light rain isn't a problem. Really, really heavy rain, like Florida torrential downpour rain, will impact performance. Outside of that, we don't have any experience with weather-related degradation. Snowfall in Alaska, the rain in Alaska, clouds don't impact it at all. It's performed really well. I can't say I have any experience with the dust aspect, but we operate them.
Like a Habood. Yeah, I'm thankfully out of that zone in
Yeah.
Phoenix, but I've got units on offshore drilling sites. So, and we've got them in Dead Horse, Berry Tip, like I said, they're polar bears, walruses, and I mean, at the basking communities, we have these units out there. And rarely are there support calls due to weather. Snow is your biggest one, and that would be where the actual antenna is completely buried. Because the heater will take care of typical snowfall.
Thank you, gentlemen, for your response. Any other colleagues with any questions at this time?
I want to sign up my chapters.
Yeah, Vice Chair wants to sign up his chapters too, my chapters as well. Well, gentlemen, I do appreciate you coming out and requesting to present before Resources and Development Committee today. And the next steps to this is that we'll go ahead and coordinate a meeting with the Broadband Executive Office and the Telecommunication Office and also the Commission, in hopes that we have a dialogue on this. And I don't know what their plans are to this point, because they're on the executive branch side and we're on the legislative side. But we also do need this particular infrastructure built out. And I think, going satellite is very optimal right now to maximize, within a short time period to get to these connectivities to home. So I do appreciate that. So we will definitely be in contact, but again, it would be upon when their availability is as well. So I don't know, do we have your contact information? If you have a business card, you might want to just share it with Rodney. Okay, well, thank you for that, gentlemen. So colleagues, I do have a motion and a second. I have a motion by Chair Nez and second by Honorable Simpson. With that, I'd like to go ahead and take it to roll call vote. Rodney?
Madam Chair, members have already seen this as roll call vote for receiving reports, item B. Honorable Sean and Cloudy vote.
Green.
Honorable Sean and Cloud votes green. Honorable Casey and Johnson, how do you vote?
Vice Chair Casey Allen Johnson votes Warrior Green.
Honorable Casey Allen Johnson votes green. Honorable Ricky Nez, how do you vote?
Elder Witness, votes green.
Honorable Ricky Nez votes green. Honorable Danny Simpson, how do you vote?
Agree.
Honorable Danny Simpson votes green. Honorable Otto, how do you vote? Madam Chair, that's 4 in favor, 0 opposed, and Madam Chair not voting.
So with that, motion carries, and again, you will be hearing from us when we do schedule that meeting. So again, I thank you for your presentation and bringing this particular initiative here before the Resources and Development Committee. So thank you. Going back to item letter A under receiving reports, we do have update report from Division of Natural Resources and Building Nations LLC on the financials and revenues for the 2024 Navajo Nation Fair. We do have presenters, Mr. Mike Colonna, who is Division Director for Division of Natural Resources. And we do have Mr. Fred White, owner and proprietor for now our Building Nations LLC. And I also do understand have Zion Enterprise here as well, as they were also a part of the logistics and planning for the Navajo Nation Fair this past year. So colleagues, there has been handouts that have been given to you. First is the 76th Annual Navajo Nation Fair Financial Report. And then it goes deeper in depth in regards to having subsidiary ledgers that actually identifies who got payment and for what amount per line item, and we have the service expense as well. So I don't know if you had time to review that. So at this time, we do have presenters that are right there, presenters here. So again, we did request the DNR and Building Nations to come back once their final numbers were identified through final expenses that possibly need to be paid out. So I'm assuming these are the final numbers. The next steps to this is Nabikia Committee wanted to hear this. So the next Nabikia Committee meeting is possibly going to be taking place next Thursday. So just, keep that on your radar. So I'm assuming the Office of the Speaker will be reaching out to you all for a report as well. And then the next step after this would be the fund management plan. Remember the budget forms and getting that resolution going, so we're not waiting last minute again. So so at this time, I'd like to go ahead and yield the time over to you, Mr. Colonna, Mr. White, and your team to provide a report here for 20 minutes. And if you need more time, just please let us know.
Thank you, Chair Jesus, Vice Chair Johnson, and honorable delegates to the Resource Development Committee. I don't want you to actually ask Colonna that you know. I don't bet on this notion, but it's changed for under the knowledge on it. But I mentioned now, put the Division of Natural Resources, get the director, no, it's not here. So appreciate this opportunity to come back. We brought the preliminary report the last time based on timing right after the two big fairs, Navajo Nation and Northern, Western. So now we've had some time to reconcile all of our information, our books and stuff with our contractor here, Building Nations. And they can explain where they are as they go through the report. The background, the overview, how the organizational chart working with us, where they fell in that chart, providing assistance financially for the 76th Annual Navajo Nation Fair. So which was very successful, by the way. So I'd like to take this time and turn the time over to Mr. White. Mr. Frederick White, two Mr. Whites and with me, Mr. Frederick White.
Good morning, Madam Chair, Vice Chair, honorable delegates from the Resources Development Committee. It's good to see all of you. As I had mentioned at the last meeting, originally from the cornfields area, they grew up at Navajo Station. And I had the opportunity to meet my wife Catherine and Catherine and I both started this company in 2014. So we just finished our 10th year. And this is our 10th year, but we actually were engaged in overseeing the Nation Fair, 4th of July, PRCA Rodeo financials. In the last 4 years, we also do work for the Northern Agency Fair Board. And we appreciate this opportunity to have this contract to oversee the financial revenues and expenditures that occur for the fair. Usually we give our reports to the department directors that we have worked for the past 10 years, and they do the reports. But this year we're honored to be here to share with you and all with a heart of transparency, what has happened as far as these revenues coming in, expenses going out. As Mr. Halona had described, we did work with a team, Mr. Halona and his staff, as well as Zion Enterprises, and they're also team members. So we work for both entities. And at this time, I'll be joined by employee of Building Nations LLC. He can introduce himself, and he'll be doing the PowerPoint that we provided for you this morning.
Good morning, members of the Resources and Development Committee. My name is Charleston White. I am the associate for Building Nations LLC, which is also my parents' company. I have prepared for you a financial report on the 76th Annual Navajo Nation Fair. 2 points I want to make before I get into the report is that this report is final as of yesterday. And by the time we get to the full committee, the full council floor, the numbers will have changed because we are still paying bills and we are still getting sponsorships into our bank account. So, and if you still have your document from last month, this time, the numbers will be different from that time because, as I said, expenses and income have been coming in from the 1 month time period. Okay, let's get right into it. I think there's only one. Yeah, so background and overview. Oh, well, one last point is it took us 3 hours to get through this report when we went through DNR. I don't know how everyone's schedules are today, but for that reason, in the 20-minute allotted time, I will only be going through the document with this title. Okay, so background and overview. Building Nations was contracted by Navajo Nation DNR under the direction of Mr. Halona here and his team to accept and monitor all financial transactions of the Navajo Nation Fair. And more specifically, there are two accounting categories. One is credits and one is debits. You could also refer to them as income for the credits as well as expenses for the debits. The credits include things like sponsorships, parking, rodeo, wristband, and camping sales. The Navajo Nation Fair deposit from the Navajo Nation, 700,000 or so that was approved by the Navajo Nation Council. The exhibitor and vendor space fees, the rodeo parade, baby contests, entry fees. And then there's the expense type transactions below that, which are also probably debits. Those include payments to vendors. So some examples of vendors are security, porta toilets, trash pickup, tent rentals, trash bins, etc. Payments to talent. As you know, that this year we had Bone Thugs and Harmony, Joe Nichols, and other performers. Capital expenditures, including supplies, equipment, materials, contestant winners for summer dance, powwow, rodeo, etc. And number 5 there, rodeo stock contractor, concert stage equipment, and equipment rentals. Next page is the organizational chart of how the chain of command comes together when putting on the Navajo Nation Fair. You see at the top, you have both the Navajo Nation Council, of the Navajo Nation Office of the Vice President. Underneath the Navajo Nation Council, we have the Navajo Nation Resources and Development Committee. Underneath the Office of the President, we have Navajo Nation DNR. Underneath DNR is the Fair Office Department, Navajo Nation Fair Office, ourselves, Building Nations LLC, Zion Enterprises LLC, and then underneath those three boxes is the fair itself. Next page is the cash flow summary. So this shows the flow of funds from since July 20th of this year all the way to yesterday. As you can see, there's three different categories, well, I have to say four, in the table below. But I'll start with the text, just saying that item A, there's the Navajo Nation PRC Pro Rodeo. That event happened in June of 2024. And skipping to the second area there, that all fair funds received by BNLLC were placed in a segregated bank account to prevent commingling, ensure accountability, prevent commingling of funds in order to protect the funds. And it's important to note that all interest earned on the funds was held in the account during the term of the event. So going down to the table below, as you can see, starting from the top to the bottom, you have the 328,000 approximately was the leftover balance from the Navajo Pro Rodeo. There were 259 transactions from July 20th all the way to September 3rd, which is one day before the event started. Totaling 1.6 million in income and deposits, and you had 732,000 in expenses and war withdrawals. You had 473 transactions that occurred during the event, which is September 4th to September 8th. Totaling 112,000 of income and deposits, but also paying out 1 million in expenses or withdrawals. And then after the event, starting September 9th to yesterday, you have a total 865,000 in income and deposits, 273,000 in expenses and withdrawals. Right now, currently in the Navajo Nation Fair account balance, you have $935,000 approximately. Now, if you turn the pages here, after income and expenses cover page, we have what I'll call the table that you're used to seeing from the previous meeting, that shows you all of the income and all of the expenses that also totals or equals to the leftover balance in the account. Skipping to the page 8, which is the income and revenue overview. This is to show and focus on the income and revenue of the Navajo Nation Fair only. You see on the table on the right side, there's a total income equaling approximately $2.8 million. There are five high-level disposition of those dollars totaling the 2.8 million. The first one being 738,000 that came from the Navajo Nation that was approved with legislation number 0142-24 by the 25th Navajo Nation Council. You have 328,000 was the remaining balance from the Navajo Nation PRCA event. You have 971,000 in total event revenue from park and general admission, rodeo concert, so on and so forth. Number 4, 772,000 in sponsorships, and number 5 there, 34,000 in miscellaneous receipts, totaling approximately 2.8 million. Now going further into the details for the revenue. We have on page 9, we have the non-revenue event funds detail, which totals approximately 1.1 million. And they're made up of 2 key pieces, being one, the 738,000 from the Navajo Nation Council, and the leftover remaining balance from the PRCA event. The 2 bullet points there give a more detailed explanation as to how those funds go about. But I want to go to the second bullet point, stating that after the close out of the Navajo Nation's PRCA rodeo that occurred in June of this year, $327,383.78 was the remaining balance of the Building Nation's Navajo Nation Fair banking account. And the reason why that remained in our bank account was due to direction from the Department of Natural Resources and approval from the Controller's Office. You'll see in the memo on the next page. Going to page 11, I know from hearing the full council session that it was very important that the approved allocation of $737,800. It was very important to the entire council that it was spent on very specific items. So on page 11, you can see both the sources, which was the Navajo Nation itself, of $737,800, and also where we use those funds for this event on the right side there. So it's a full list of approximately, I think it's 18 different areas, starting with tent rentals all the way down to vendor services. Going to page 12. We get to the event revenue, which is the 927,000 approximately. So there are a lot of different areas that Navajo Nation Fair generates revenue, starting with top to bottom, 4-H, camping fees, going into the arts market, the baby contest, carnival, exhibit spaces, the food and non-food vendors that you see in the rodeo area, the midway, the food pavilion. All the camping spaces are on the hillside there on the western side of the fairgrounds. You have your junior rodeo entries, parade entries, powwow, camping fees, rodeo entries, the rookie saddle bronc, parking revenue, general admission sales, rodeo concert admission sales, and we had Team Navajo wristbands that we also sold, as you know. But on page 14, I believe one of the committee members that in the last meeting wanted to know specific details for parking, rodeo, and general admission. So on page 14, you'll be able to see very clearly Wednesday through Sunday exactly how much revenue was generated per day in their respective categories, with parking totaling $38,000, the rodeo generating $192,620, and then the general admission generating $148,530, totaling $379,215. You turn to page 15. You have the count of persons or count tickets, however you want to look at it. As you can see, Saturday being the busiest day, you had approximately 11,000 individuals coming in through the entry gates on all sides of the fairgrounds. One important note that we wanted to include was that Building Nations or the Navajo Nation Division of Natural Resources did not oversee VIP passes for this event. We're strictly parking, rodeo, and admission sales, as well as general admission sales. And the prices per ticket are also available. So for the entire week, we sold a total of 3,806 parking spots. For the entire week for the rodeo, we sold 9,596 rodeo tickets, and then 18,326 tickets were sold. On page 16, you'll see a full list of all the sponsors that really made this year's event possible. Their sponsorships total $772,000 in monetary contributions that really helped us out. Just to name a couple of them, you have gaming, the Net Development Corporation, and Department, Danette College. Then turn to page 17, there's just a small table showing you that last category on the income and revenue table of the other receipts. There's roughly $1,000 of adjustment at a 1 cent credit, $23 of interest income, and then PRCA deposit, and then there was a portion of the funds from the Bone Thugs and Harmony that was returned to us because their entire crew didn't show up, so they were very helpful in getting us that money back. And then if you turn to page 19, now we'll get into the expenses. Both event and services expenses. On those two tables there on the left, you have all of the event expenses.
Mr. White, so your 20 minutes had exhausted colleagues. How much longer do you think? Like another 10 minutes to go over?
I would say another 5, just to finish this one. If you
Okay.
wanna- yes.
10. Colleagues, can we allot an additional 10 minutes for their financial reports? Yeah, Bushy. So we'll go ahead and give you an additional 10 minutes.
Okay, thank you. Right, yeah, we start. So on slide 19, you have your event and services expenses. I have 2 tables there. One is the event expenses, starting with 4-H junior livestock, all the way down to the wild horse race. And that's table, the total event expenses total $1,163,658.19. On the right side, we'll have your services expenses totaling $745,047.79. Now, pages 20 and 21 are specifically just event expenses on page 20, and then services expenses on page 21. And then that is where the supporting documents that are in those 2 other packets come into play. And in those 2 separate packets, you'll have for every line item, all of the expenses incurred for those categories.
We do.
Madam Chair and members of the committee, just an example of the event services group that you have with you. If you go to the question on what was paid out for the powwow event, if you look at that sheet, it's all lined up with all the specific payments made and with the premium payments at the end. We do have more information that can be provided, but give you a really good idea on what the money was paid out to. It gives you a good idea for every event journal with all the entries as well as the services entries. So just to add on a little bit more, Madam Chair.
Rishi, does that conclude your presentation?
Yes.
Rishi, yeah. Thank you, gentlemen, for your financial reports here to the committee. At this time, colleagues, I'd like to request for a motion to accept the report from Division of Natural Resources and Building Nations LLC. Motion. Vice Chair Johnson, may I get a second?
Second.
Honorable Simpson. Colleagues, do we have any questions for Division of Natural Resources and Building Nations in regards to their financials that were shared here with us with as a final result of the 76th Annual Navajo Nation Fair? So going forward, again, thank you, gentlemen. The next step to this would be to give a full report as such to the Napakee'Atiit Committee, which will eventually take place next week. Or whatever we get word from Office of the Speaker. Now, one of the discussions here, and I think you all heard and Zion has heard as well, is that how do we go forward with the Navajo Nation Fair? Do we want to continue the current structure where our leaders from the past through Navajo Nation Council had initiated a resolution to continuously fund upon every budget year $600,000 to the Navajo Nation Fair. And then I know the other next steps was, are we going to continue to have the Navajo Nation Fair office be structured under Department of Ag, or are we going to move it over to the Executive Office of DNR? So that requires amendments to the plan of operation. So at that time, I know my colleagues will have questions in regards to how do we move forward with this, or do we completely just abolish the enabling legislation from so many councils ago and now convert this into an operation like it is structured with the Northern Navajo Fair, Central Navajo Fair, Western Navajo Fair, and Eastern Navajo Fair. Because the concern was that a lot of these fairs across the Navajo Nation don't get this type of financial assistance from the nation's general funds budget. So with that, we will be definitely talking about that. And again, I know that Zion has brought up some issues in regards to the structures on the premises of the fairgrounds right now. And the costs that are going to be associated to for the big improvements, if it needs to be, or is it going to have to be a demo work to construct a new facility? Those are all the maybe possible documents or even questions that we need to be ready for at Napakee'Atiit. So again, thank you, gentlemen, for your report. And we do have a net revenue at the end of $934,000 plus. And it does take a team to make this type of a revenue. So in hopes that once Napakee'Atiit approves it, depending on the direction we're going to go, if it does require budget forms of the Navajo Nation to be developed, to drop another legislation so that the fair office can utilize this money for planning again. So planning should have already started the day after Navajo Nation Fair, but I don't know where we're at with that, but we look to your direction as Director of DNR. Yeah, Mr. Halona. So colleagues, again, those are going to be the next steps. So we do have a motion by Honorable Vice Chair Johnson and second by Honorable Simpson. So at this time, I'd like to go ahead and request for a roll call vote, since this will have to go before Napakee'Atiit again at the time. So it's Rodney.
Madam Chair, members of RDC, this is roll call for receiving reports. Item A, Honorable Sean Cloud, you vote?
Red.
Honorable Sean Cloud votes red. Honorable Casey Allen Johnson, how do you vote?
Vice Chair Casey Johnson votes green.
Honorable Casey Allen Johnson votes green. Honorable Ricky Nez, how do you vote?
Votes green.
Honorable Ricky Nez votes green. Honorable Danny Simpson, how do you vote?
Green.
Honorable Danny Simpson votes green. Honorable Otto, how do you vote? Madam Chair, that 3 in favor, 1 opposed, and Madam Chair not voting.
Okay, so with that, motion does carry and RDC accept this report here today. So the next stop would be the full Napakee'Atiit committee, because I know my colleagues were asking 2 weeks ago. So, but I'm glad that they canceled the one this past Thursday. So we'll go ahead and just have, Office of the Speaker reach out when that, next Navigatia meeting will happen. Yeah, thank you so much, and then thank you to Zion for being here as well. For being a partner to the, 76th Annual Navajo Nation Fair. So with that, colleagues, we are at the end of our agenda. We're at item number 8, close the meeting. Do we have any final announcements? Rodney, Danielle. So with that, I'd like to call for adjournment at what time? 12:15. Have a motion by Vice Chair Johnson. May I get a second?
Okay.
Second by Honorable Claw. And with that, Rodney, can we please take roll call vote?
Madam Chairman, I've already seen this as roll call vote for adjournment at 12:15. Honorable Sean Claudia vote. Honorable Sean Claudia votes green. Honorable Casey Johnson, how do you vote?
Vice Chair Casey on Johnson votes green.
Honorable Casey Johnson votes green. Honorable Ricky Nez, how do you vote? Honorable Ricky Nez votes green. Honorable Danny Simpson, how do you vote? Honorable Danny Simpson votes green. Honorable Otto, how do you vote? Madam Chair, that's 4 in favor, 0 opposed, and Madam Chair not voting.
Negotiate, so with that, motion carries for adjournment, and thank you again, everyone, for being here today, and please be safe out there. I know the weather's getting cold, and we also have inclement weather. Be safe out there on the road, and also please check up on your elders, Sean, and make sure that they have enough wood to stay warm. And again, we'll be talking to you all soon into the